We call the meeting to order at 6:01 PM, not PM. And if we could all stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. So we want to have, well, I mean, there's room there for both of our student reps to be there.
Stephanie, will be allowed to come for that.
At the table. At the table, really? Oh, okay. Never mind, that's sorry.
Good thing the
I just thought that since it was her first one that she could.
But you know, that's not true, because I was actually at the conference and they actually have schools that have student boards sitting at the table and both speaking at the same time.
Oh.
So I'm not sure where that's coming from, but we can clarify it later.
I when the initial everything.
Yeah, I know, but they've been
Yeah.
a little more.
I just thought that
Yeah,
it would be easier for her to be able to observe and.
so
Okay,
we'll double check on it because I've seen that this district have more than one.
Okay.
Talking.
okay, we do not need an executive session at this time, but we will be needing one after the meeting. And yes, we'll try to keep it very quick. Correspondence, there was none. And now we have policies for discussion.
Presentation.
Oh, because it says here none.
Oh, yeah, no, they changed it. She emailed us, Stacy did. Emailed and told us that Murphy would be presenting. She sent the PowerPoint to us.
Don't you have the FDA PowerPoint?
No, that's fine.
Here.
But no, I don't have an
Yeah.
updated agenda. I'm sorry. No, that's okay. You keep yours. You keep another copy. Okay, I'm sorry, Murphy. I didn't forget you.
You're right. Nice to see everybody on this wonderful Tuesday. It is Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening. So many of you are familiar with the athletic placement process. You've either been part of it as the Board of Education, or some of you might recall even as a student athlete in the past, or your own children. So the State Education Department, very late at the end of July, decided that they would release the updates with little time to be able to do first and second readings for the Board of Education to update the policy. So that's why I'm here, just learning about it. I do sit on the executive New York State Public High School Athletic Association committee now, because I am the Section 4 female physical education rep. So I was there when the State Education Department released it to all the constituents. And then I brought back what we know so far. So I will go over the information, and then obviously there'll be time for questions and input and for your insight as to next steps for the Board of Education. Clicker.
There you go.
So in your packets, Stacy helped me. You should have the current Board of Education policy, the announcement of the changes from the State Education Department. They also had a frequently asked questions, because a lot of people were calling in to get clarification. And then I'm going to go over the presentation and then a draft of some ideas that might help you with next steps. So does anybody need any time to review the materials before I move on? Thank you. So the APP was way back, even, when I was a young student, and it was adopted by the Board of Regents back in 1980 to allow 7th and 8th graders to compete at the high school level. And it has to do with grade determination. So you're only allowed so many years in your high school experience to have your clock, so to speak, start ticking to play sports. So for 7th grade, that enters for 6 years, 8th grade, 5 years. And once you hit 9th grade, you only can have 4 years. And so the APP provides the process of where a student can compete safely. So we all know developmentally, may it be physically, mentally, social, and emotional, that a 11, 12-year-old in 7th grade and a senior that's 17, 18-year-old, they're different, the way they think, the way they move, the way they compete, how they can safely participate in sports. So that has not changed. The regulation still wants us as school districts and boards of education and directors of health and physical education to make sure that kids are safe in this process. They are not required to admit students to compete outside of their grade level classification. So, you might hear from other states, and there's a lot going on in the world of sports and the NCAA right now at the college level, but it's not to age up a kid, to allow them to skip a grade or allow them to stay a grade back so that they can have advantages for their future in sports. So there has to be classified based on their grade. It still remains optional, which means some board of educations, like Whitney Point, has allowed 7th and 8th graders to participate at the junior varsity and varsity level. There are other school districts that only allow 8th graders, and there are some school districts across the state that don't allow anybody to move up. So that is the discretion of each school district under the regulation. So to remind people, which sometimes people, as we trying to be creative in sports and to give kids opportunities, people think that APP will allow for other things. It's really for the select few students who have these skills and opportunities, and that they are, above and beyond some of the other students at their age. It's not to fill rosters, because we're short to have a JV team. It's not to, let them play the modified season and then let them play the varsity season and have more opportunities. It's not to replace the current modified programs and get rid of them and just have high school level. And it's not to reward a student. It's truly for the exceptional student that has, the physical, mental, and social and emotional ability to play at the next level. So sometimes people forget, bless you, that, they can't use it for other purposes. So the state education department has come out that these are the things that the Board of Educations and the athletic offices must revise. They must revise their board policies and resolutions, their procedures, their consent forms, their invitation, how a student gets invited, the role of the medical director, the staff role, the team selection, record keeping, and parent communication. And football starts on Monday the 17th, and all the other sports start August 24th. So obviously that's why we're moving quickly to update all of this. So one of the things that has changed, if you might remember, for anybody who's familiar with it, before the process could even start, after a student had been recommended and a parent had given permission, in the old policy, the school medical director would have given them a physical, and the physical would check, their regular physical things that they do for sports to make sure they're safe. They also used to do, on the next slide is the Tanner rating, and the Tanner rating would check someone's maturation when they hit puberty. So may that be certain things that a child would exhibit. And some people over time thought that was very invasive and, privacy, and that puberty didn't necessarily have to do with athletic performance. We at Whitney Point have not done the Tanner scale for many years with our current medical director. So that is something that has not been used, because they allowed that update in the recent past. The other thing it does is it allows 7th and 8th graders to be permitted by invitation only. So the school district is the one reaching out to the student athlete and their family and inviting them. And that can only come from the athletic officer, the director of health, physical education, and athletics. And so that is something new that they have put in the regulation, which prior to that, a parent could recommend it, a coach could recommend it. So it goes through a different process for the invitation now. And these things have to be exhibited in the APP process. It has to be personal and social responsibility, sports specific skills, knowledge of the game, and physical fitness. So there has to be the same for everybody trying out. So some of you might have remembered, again, if you did it yourself or you had a student athlete in your family that did it, that everybody took the presidential fitness test that's required, sit-ups, and it might have been push-ups or pull-ups, or it might have been the mile run, or it was,
50-yard dash.
And the shuttle run, and your sit and reach for your flexibility. So that really helped students aspire and work hard to be able to meet those. And if they missed one of them, they could still pass, but they had to have the majority of them in order to be able to try out. What the new regulation says is that now you have to develop each sport a rubric. So a rubric would identify all of these things. So the fitness testing is still, doesn't have to be fitness testing. Physical fitness is still part of it, but you determine what that looks like for volleyball, or what that looks like for field hockey, or what that looks like for swimming. But all students have to do it. So not just the 7th and 8th grade student has to do it. Everybody trying out for the team has to do that. The unique thing is, like our school district and other small school districts, is that you don't always make cuts. So you don't really need tryouts. Everybody that signs up gets to be part of the team, but you're still going to have this rubric to put everybody through to make sure the student that is getting promoted gets the same opportunity as everybody else, even though no one's really trying out and getting cut from the football team, because we need every player to play. So the revisions of our current policy. So Stacy again was kind enough to make you, and it has draft written all over it. So if you look at that, these are some of the things that I am recommending to do the updates for the board policy. So if yours looks like this, if you guys, I should have draft on them.
I have it electronically. I don't know what I have again.
Everybody, I think it would just help if you have it to be able to look at it.
It's in the Staples part of the
Yeah.
presentation.
Stable part.
Oh, the part of the presentation.
Oh, you
No, you
Oh,
can't read
yeah.
it. And I saw.
On the first? Yeah.
The back of that one.
But
Okay, thank you so much.
It doesn't say draft.
it's not the draft. This thing, remember she showed?
Yeah.
Yeah, right, I don't think it's draft on.
No, this says board approved 8.4.15.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
We just say.
They're the same.
It keeps rolling. There's 8-4-15 at the top.
They both do,
Yeah.
but
We had 2 copies of the previous policy.
What's the difference?
Yes, so.
What's the difference on your draft one?
There's lots of differences, so I think just to make sure no one's confusing, she'll go make copies.
Stacy did email it to us.
And I'll just be patient, and I want you to be able to see it so that you
Yeah, no, I
can go
appreciate it.
through it with you.
Draft update. It's the same. It's still 8-15 on it.
I have a question while we wait.
Yeah, sure.
So now that we're putting all these students through the assessment prior to letting them play on a sports team, if for whatever reason a student doesn't pass all of the assessments, but we're letting everybody play because we need the students to play to complete a team. If something happens to that student while playing a sport, are we now liable in some way?
Well, that's my concern, is that the kids that are 9th through 12th grade have the right to play at junior varsity and varsity, but the 7th and 8th graders. So when we go through the updated suggestions that I'm gonna say is that the scores from the rubric and the results would come back and I would review them. And then, basically say that child is safe to be approved to play, because if there are glaring differences in the child that developmentally is in a different age or a different size or what have you, isn't safe, then we have the responsibility to make sure that you don't put them in a setting that, even though they tried out and there's no cuts, that would be fitting. And so I don't think, the 7th and 8th grader necessary as be considered cut, you would just, have that conversation with their family and their parents and say, based on our observation that the most safe place for them developmentally would still to remain on varsity, but those will be hard conversations to have. But I also think that's why it's so important, and I'll show you some of the process, that when a coach comes to you to suggest somebody, you really got to be sure that the student athlete is a good fit for this process, because that's a really hard conversation to have with a parent and a kid, to like get their hopes up.
Right.
And, and the old fitness test kind of standardized everything. And so you didn't have to make those objective decisions. It was, a standard process.
Yeah.
Would you be helping the coaches develop the rubric?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Question.
I would give some templates, and then I would have them, just like a teacher would turn in a syllabus. I would look it over and then, give them guidance and revisions on it, so.
I just had, I guess it was in line with that, because I wrote something down and I thought that was where it was going.
Okay.
What about students that are of age in the groups and still don't meet the rubric? Are they gonna be like not able to play, or?
That was gonna be my exact question.
I think of what I-
You've got a student who's of age who can play
Right.
because of his age or her age, but then the eighth graders scores on the rubric much higher, but we still don't think
Thank
they're
you.
mentally ready. We could get into a lot of gray area stuff.
Yeah, so let me show you some of the things that might help prevent that before the child even got to tryouts, okay? So if you look at the one that says draft now that you have in front of you, the language in the top is the same as it currently is in the Whitney Point current policy. Under the bold where it says Whitney Point eligible requirements, right now, you as a Board of Education would have the right still to have, if the eighth graders were suggested, then they would just go to JV. If the eighth graders were suggested for varsity, we've always had them meet with the superintendent and their families to have that conversation. For the seventh graders, if they were with JV, we've in the past had them talk to the superintendent. If a seventh grader was suggested to move all the way to the varsity, then they did the Board of Education presentation. So those are two things that are safeguards, in this process. Now, if you go under the bottom where it says the placement process requirements, the order of what we used to do is slightly different. So number one, the referral. So what would happen is there would be a form that that would be developed that a coach would have to fill out about the student academically, socially, emotionally, and physically ready. So the state in the old packet, some of you remember receiving the old packet from the state when I would email it to you if your child or your grandchild or someone you knew, they had a form that the coaches would fill out. So that form similar would be filled out and it would be given to the athletic office for consideration with those criteria that the state says they have to have: personal social responsibility, sport specific skill development, knowledge of the game, physical readiness. Okay. So we right now, and this is something that's working really well. So after I received that referral from a coach, we have the athletic placement process committee, and the committee is the principal, the nurse, the guidance office, the physical education teacher, and myself. So in a confidential meeting, this referral comes and we look at the student's attendance, we look at the student's, physical from the school medical director, we look at the student's grades, we look at the kid if they have discipline referrals, we look at, their social and emotional, and out of that committee, if we feel, and every person has a form that they fill out, that student fits those criteria, then we would send next, the invitation.
I'm sorry, I hate to, can you just say who was on the committee again?
Sure.
I've hit some of that.
It's in regulation too, but
Oh, okay.
not, and it might be listed, but it's the principal, the director of physical education / athletics, the guidance counselor, the phys ed teacher, and the nurse. And those aren't things that I have decided, those are things that have been in the regulation of who's on the committee.
Thank you.
And so if after that discussion and that recommendation, if all of those things, people, you know, that check the box and it's a good fit, then from there, the committee would, you know, put their blessing, so to speak, and then they would invite the athlete to go through the next step, and the parent would sign a consent. And then if the parent can sign the consent based on which level, so if it was an 8th grader for JV, they would just go to tryouts. If it was a 7th grader that a coach wanted to promote to varsity, they would come to you next for their board presentation before trying out. And so after that process, if they needed to see the superintendent or the board, then they would try out, and then the tryout results based on the coach's rubric would come back to the athletic office, and then I would notify the parent that the child was a bona fide member of the team. And then I have to disseminate that information to the other opposing schools as well as the Section 4 office.
Murphy, what do they do for knowledge of the game?
Well, that, you know, that is fascinating, because I don't know, in a 2 or 3 day trial, like, you know, it's not like you're giving them a written test, you know what I mean? I would assume that the coach would have to do some type of scrimmage that would have like rules thrown in there, or, you know, knowing your position, or knowing, you know, simple things like how to substitute out and the length of the game and things like that, you know. But really, that's the knowledge of not just, you know, a push pass versus a flick versus a scoop, you know, for field hockey, it would be, you know, do you know the difference between your offense and your defense, and, you know, a red card, or why someone would advance or someone would get called with a high ball or something to that effect.
And remind me again, because I think maybe this changed, I'm not sure when it changed, but the student who is on, is it modified or is it JV, can play on the varsity team for so many games?
So NISFA, which is the Public High School Athletic Association, does not recognize JV and varsity, you're just high school. So if you are a 10th grader, and you know, they do this in field hockey, and you can only play a 16 game schedule. If you go over 16 games, you can violate your team's ability to go to championships. So if a kid plays in 8 regular season JV games and 8 varsity games, they can satisfy their 16. They can go back and forth between JV and varsity, but you cannot go back and forth between modified and varsity. It's only the upper levels. But if a student was APP and we said they were only fit for JV, they can't be bouncing back and forth. They have to stay at JV. That's why at the end, when we come to state championships, we bring those students back, because now we have said they've gotten some experience, they've done junior varsity, and now you as a board has said that they can go to postseason and be on the varsity for those last few games for championships.
Okay, so that's when we give them selected classification to JV, and then they come and ask us because they're 7th grader. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess, so the question I asked earlier, I didn't, so if you're in 10th grade and you have this rubric and the 10th grader can't meet the rubric, then they're eligible to play because they're in 10th grade. But if they don't, are they not on the team?
No, I mean, if we're not, so say for instance, you know, basketball is a sport usually that there's sometimes cuts.
Yeah.
And if a coach decided they had 30 kids come out for basketball, but they were only going to keep 15, and they had a true tryout period, and they cut kids, and a student in 9th grade scores on the rubric were not as favorable, and the 8th grader, but they cut, you know, 50% of the kids, there's 30 tried out, 15 didn't make it. Yes, the 9th grader. But if you're on the football team and football doesn't do any cuts, and the 10th grader's score was poor and the 8th grader's score was really high, the 8th grade kid might start And the 10th grade kid might be on the team and just not get the same playing time.
So I guess, so I mean, this tends to happen the most with field hockey, so I'll just mention, so if we had a 10th grader that's playing field hockey and they don't meet all the rubric, would they just be cut because they do not meet those?
No, I mean, if she chose to keep everybody on the team, the coach,
Okay.
then again, maybe the younger student athlete who had more skill or more knowledge might get
Right.
more playing time. But that doesn't mean that the kid, just because their scores on the rubric were low, get cut. They only get cut if you're not gonna keep everybody,
Okay,
you
I
know,
just-
if the roster's too
I'm
big.
just saying that, so if 7th and 8th graders have to meet a rubric and you're saying that the whole team practices with this rubric, if they can move up with it, I would just assume that then people that didn't meet it, even if you were in 10th grade, you couldn't be on the team because you'd have to meet
And I
those levels. So that's all I was asking.
Yeah, and I believe that's why they want you to invite the student, because you're setting the kid up for success. You don't.
Well, no,
you
no,
don't-
I get the invite. I meant if somebody in 10th grade, I don't care if there's nobody that's moving up from JV or modified.
Mhm.
If you're a 10th grader and you don't meet a rubric, can you still legally play on the
Yes.
team, even if there's nobody moving up, or are you,
Yes.
does that open us up
It's only-
also for?
It's only for that,
Okay,
the 7th and 8th.
Yeah.
It really,
but I mean, if there's a rubric for everybody on the team, I don't think that it's legal that you can only say that it has to just be for the 7th and 8th graders that are moving up. If you're playing and you're in 9th grade, you should still have to meet the rubrics for that team.
What you should strive for, it's just like class, like,
Okay, I'm just asking, I'm not trying to really push it, I'm just asking, so if that happens. And we have rubrics and then kids can't meet it on that team with their own team's rubrics, do they get caught just based on that? No matter
that's not
what?
the intention.
Okay, no, I know it's not the intention, a lot of rules aren't set up with intention, it's just when people put them to the when you instate them, then other people say, this is what it says. And that's all I'm worried about, is that if we say that and it's our policy, and then somebody comes forward and go, all these kids can't meet it, and now they can't play on the team, and you were on the board and you voted for
Yeah,
it.
and I don't, you're not, you would be for the policy as a board, you know, passing a policy that is the process. You don't have to oversee the rubric or oversee that piece of it. That would be part of the athletic department's responsibility.
I have two questions. One related to that. Is there going to be a trial period with a rubric assessment system, even if there is not a 7th or 8th grade student coming up to the team? Or is
Right.
the only purpose of it to assess the team to verify that the 7th or 8th grader is fit to play with them?
It's a philosophical thing, like, you know, I'll be honest, Tyler, like, you know, I think about like cross country, like, you know, you're trying to get kids to be able to improve, to be able to run longer. It's not like, you know, you give them a test or a rubric to, you know, there's some individuals think sports that you're not vying for a starting position, or you're not vying for offense versus defense. And so I think all coaches should have some type of expectation. Do we all have rubrics for tryouts for JV and varsity? That's not been past practice. I mean, that doesn't mean that we can't put that in place to be more consistent. You know, that's an easy thing to do, just like syllabus for, you know, English and math, you know, that's just a standard practice to make it so it doesn't feel like it's just for the 7th and 8th graders. So as an athletic department, you know, as I give the coaches guidance, you know, I'd say this is best practice to use this to check. You know, it's like you're trying to show kids where they are and how they can grow and how they can improve and how you can support them to get better, you know, so.
So the only time that rubric will be used on the high school students, you know, some 9 through 12, is if the coach is making cuts to the team to not have as large as if a team.
I mean, that's traditionally when rubrics are used most frequently, is when you have to make hard decisions and everybody's not a member of the team, yes.
However, depending on that rubric will be used by the entire team if there's somebody in 7th or 8th grade that might come up. So that there can be a baseline and people can see this is why the student was asked and why they're going to be, so.
That's
Right.
correct, yes.
and we'll just have to be really specific with our messaging to families so that they understand that.
Right. Yeah,
So the seventh and eighth grader would have to have a higher rubric score than the rest of the team to make the team?
and not necessarily higher, they just have to be, according to, if you read the question and answer form that the state sent out, they have to be evaluated the same way with the same criteria as other members on the team.
That's what I just kind of.
Yeah, but it doesn't
I know.
necessarily have to be higher, it could be
Okay.
equal or similar.
Equally.
Well, I don't, to me, I'm sorry, if you're seventh grade and you're gonna knock out a tenth grader because you have the same rubrics, then that's not really a good thing to knock a tenth grader out from playing because a seventh grader can equal you. That's my own philosophical view. I just don't think that would be right. So I would think they'd have to be better to play because that's usually you start if you're better.
So
if
this
you're
isn't
taking a
anything to
spot-
do with time playing,
I
starting.
mean, just being on a team, if there's not enough players, when you put a seventh grader on a team, there's certain teams that only carry a certain amount and this will knock people out.
That has, if in the coaching form of the past regulations, which would be similar that what we would put in when a coach submits a referral, it has a question, how many % of time do you think the student is going to get? And often coaches write 50, 75, 100% of the time. And we truly have had kids that have been promoted that play over top of the older students. I mean, that has happened, where the seventh and eighth grader has taken a starting position from a senior.
They were better.
Yeah, they were better.
And I agree with that, but I'm saying that I'm worried if they meet a rubric and if the team has a certain amount, somebody that's in tenth grade gets knocked back down. If all else is equal. I don't know, I just.
So my second question, in the revised policy, is the school medical director, which is a contracted position through UHS, if I'm remembering correctly. Are they involved at all now?
So the only thing that the new regulation says is that they would get their regular physical from
Okay, just like
everybody else. The only time that the medical director would reevaluate the student if they had a concussion, they were in an accident, they had an illness, and they had to be on pause for a minute, because they had extremes, and then they would reevaluate to let them get back into participating in sports. But that would be the same for any student, not just the seventh and eighth, where now we used to have them come the first, before I could even fitness test them, they had to see the school medical director. Now that process, if they have a current up-to-date physical and the medical director and the nurses approved it like they do every other student, then they can start this process.
And the maturation test, the Tanner test, was quite subjective and not fair.
Yeah, and that
For girls, or even men,
And so that part is really where the catalyst of this is to remove the Tanner, which, is just something that's a little antiquated and not needed at this point, and, the athletic process.
Thank you. We have reached out to NISBA and Erie One, who helps us with our policies. They have not drafted anything yet. They will have something in September, so we have our first reading, but we'll have something for our October meeting to be from, so we can revise whatever.
And lots of times, if you remember from the past, Erie One could give you a very simple boilerplate, because again, some school districts choose not to entertain this at all. And our policy from the past and moving present is very it has procedures and it has a flow to it, and it has some measures where our neighboring districts to the south or north looks very different, or they don't even let certain grade levels do it. So whatever comes from Erie One or from, where's the other source? NISBA, it could be very helpful, or it could be just something very simple where we don't really know what that looks like yet.
And it won't be until, they said October, right?
Yeah.
So this policy right now is for first reading discussion.
Yeah.
So we will be voting on it next time, right? Second policy.
Second reading,
Second reading
and then,
and vote.
The issue is that, I have student athletes who are going to play this fall, and so I have to put some of this into motion based on what the regulation says, because I'm not permitted to do the prior procedure. So just so you're aware, there is some students that are in this situation getting ready for the start of August 24th, to be able to be promoted.
States, like usually October,
Well,
right?
states are, we would entertain if a kid were going to go up, but they have to be playing JV and varsity right now in order to do that. So I'll have to, do the intention of this for the students that are considering, but then when we are gonna see if the kid goes all the way to that level, we would have to go through the policy reading. But states are in November, but it would be the October meeting that the student athlete would need to speak to you if necessary.
So we've already voted that all of our past policies were adopted, so are we still under that, or does this new mandate come down and say
So
that those are
The
like?
pieces that I absolutely have to do currently based, because it was released on July, is it 29th? That no more medical director looking at them separately, no Tanner test, no more fitness test unless I fitness test the entire team. And that the tryout period, I have to invite the student, and we did have the students go to the committee already. So the committee's already looked at their grades, and this was before this was even released. And so then I will have to work with the coaches that have recommended somebody to make a rubric, and then the student would have to go through the tryout period. I mean, I have to, based on the current regulation, I would have to do that even if the policy isn't been approved yet.
So again, and I'm not trying to say that like putting us at risk. I mean, my concern is the students. I mean, I'd hate to put somebody at risk, but so we're actually doing proactively what's on here, and that's kind of what we're feeling is because that's what's been sent down. So it's being done even though we haven't really voted on it. So
There's pieces of it, but there's
Okay.
other parts that
yeah,
you would want to really decide as a
Okay.
board if you still
Yep.
want to do based on, what I put in draft.
yeah. I just want to make sure what I have it all totally straight in my head. I'm not trying to be.
No,
I just like to ask the question so I know what's happening. So
I think, Tom, the part that it's hard to be reflective on is that, why the timing of it,
Mhm.
why did they release it,
yeah,
so close to sports,
yeah,
because
exactly.
if we had 6 months,
Mhm.
we could have had this done.
Yeah.
So the students were in limbo, but because they released it, a week and a half ago, and now the board meeting's here and you have to have 2 readings before you can vote. I mean, it's just part of the process.
And all the schools are in the same boat.
Yeah,
then,
They
because
are.
everybody in
Yeah.
the state has done it.
Has done it.
No, I appreciate all that. Thank you. I appreciate all the information.
I appreciate, Murphy, that you're on top of this and that we are proactively moving forward within the same process of what we're doing right now.
Yeah, I think when I sent out the group text to all the superintendents, they were probably like, what? Because only one person like, we're meeting tomorrow,
Yeah.
but I don't even know that they knew it was on the radar.
And I'm fortunate enough because of some of the committees that I sit on and some of the, positions that I hold, at the section and state level, that sometimes I, get a hold of the information in a very swift manner that I can be able to study it and share it with the district office and then present to you. Any other questions?
No, I know when you said it earlier, and I wrote it on here too, so the coach does initiate the view, because I thought I was writing down like who couldn't, I know parents can't, the students can't, but the coaches still are the ones that can bring it forward.
Yeah,
Because when I first started here, I thought you had initiated, I was like,
I have,
how are you gonna know all the students
Yeah.
for you to
I
initiate?
mean, I have to
Okay.
initiate the invitation to extend it after
Once
the
the
process,
coaches-
but
okay.
someone's gotta bring it
Yep.
to my attention,
Okay.
Right.
And that has to be the coach, not a student, not a parent. Okay.
And,
good,
and, we're not, I don't think the state education department is trying to leave out the parent or the student to advocate for themselves.
Yeah.
But they just need to, go through those avenues, and obviously coaches and families, they do talk, but it wouldn't be generated from a family calling me or a student showing up in my office. It would be generated on this formal, skill form from the coach with all the documentation and evidence as to why this student should be reviewed for this consideration.
No, I know parents always mean the best, but I think that this is a better safety net because that people are looking at things more realistically this way than maybe sometimes parents or students are. So this is good.
So basically, the parent contacts you, you're gonna tell them they have to go to the coach and. the
Yeah,
coach-
I think you listen and I think you try to get their perspective and you can give the coach a heads up, but I think, the coach has to look at, what's their philosophical for their team, what's their roster look like, what's the students' strengths and, where, again, safety and where does this fit? And is that a appropriate recommendation at this time, to send to the athletic department?
And I know when I do this, I just have to say personally, having seventh graders stand before me to ask, it gets me very anxious. Because I always worry. I know everybody checks it and does it, but it's one of the most stressful things as a board member that I have to do. Looking at seventh, especially when they're like this tall and it makes me very nervous. So
And it.
the more safeguards that are in there, the better.
Yeah, and sometimes it feels a little bit different when you're approving them for postseason.
Right. Right.
Because it's, a lot of time, not all the time, but usually it's for the experience for them, not necessarily the playing time, but when it's for the whole season, it's.
And all the coaches know I played a lot of sports and I see what goes on the field a lot of times, and that's what worries me a little too.
In the locker room.
And the bus.
Yeah.
And tournaments and, yeah.
To be
even
honest,
that's-
there have been times when we've approved somebody to move up and it didn't work out because of the maturity level. And then you start second guessing, did we make the right decision in the first place?
So this has nothing to do with this, but while you're standing there. I know Zach got our water safety stuff up on our website because the state mandated we did that. So sometime later, as things get cooled down, I know we're supposed to have a method where we get more information out to parents. I just would be interested in how we're going to do that in our district. So maybe if you need me to send that new regulation that happened to us.
That would not be something that I've overseen before, so you would work with that.
To get something onto the website
We
or.
can know that
You already think-
water safety that we have to take care of in our district. And then just so you know, they're making a new one that probably doesn't have to do with physical ed, but it has to do with diabetes. Next year, it's gonna be a mandate.
Yeah, we're already
So,
on.
yeah.
Yeah, I already posted. diabetes.
Are you bringing this to Murphy's attention in specific relation to water availability for athletes?
No, it just has to do with the whole entire community
Quality.
quality, yeah.
Okay.
Not water quality, water safety.
Oh,
It's a
excuse me,
mandate.
I misunderstood.
Yeah.
I do
Zach-
too.
No, I can do that part. I
Yeah,
can do
it's
that
water
part.
safety.
Zach and I work on water quality,
Yeah,
submitting it.
No,
into
it's
the
water
portal.
safety.
Water
Water
safety, yes,
safety,
and so,
so-
yes, I am aware, swimming, lifeguarding,
Yeah.
that water safety.
And I see.
Yes.
Sorry.
I know we already do a lot, but I'd be interested in what we're doing and how
Yeah.
we're meeting that
Yes.
state mandate.
I have gone to some trainings and I have been to some state meetings, and so we can
Another time.
review that at
Yeah.
another time, but I got stuck on water quality.
Yeah, me too.
So
Let me check Aquafina here.
No
Thanks,
problem.
Murphy.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you much.
Thank you very much.
It's all on there. It's all on
We
there.
do this. You have some water policy with lead, I know that.
I always want to say.
Okay, so could I have a motion to approve policy 7423 for first reading?
So
I heard Chris and Kyle. Does anybody have any more questions regarding this?
And any edits or changes we should send to? Ed?
For this policy, I think
Yeah.
Murphy.
Murphy? Okay, and
Or
copy
both.
and Shannon?
Yeah, send it to both.
Thank you. And Stacy, do you mind sending it to us electronically? I looked in the email and it doesn't look like it got to us in the
We
email.
get 2 copies of the other one electronically.
Yeah, yeah, so if you don't mind to do that, that'd be great. Thank you.
Because they're both the same policy. One says says updated and it's not the updated one, but that's really easy to do.
Thank you.
Anyway, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay, policies for first reading. 7131, admission of non-resident students, update for second reading and adoption. May I have a motion? So moved. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Penny. Okay, I have a question about this one. And I noticed that in the policy that we see, it said like the 24-25 school year. Do we need to?
Revise that.
Yes. Because like in the second paragraph, it says, you know, beginning with the school year 24-25. Oh wait, maybe I misread that.
That's
That's
what
we-
yeah.
Right, but maybe it's the next paragraph.
Yes, 20 students who attended 23-24 may apply to continue 24.
That's the grandfathered in part of the policy. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So I think that stays, right?
Yes, but I'm looking at,
I know what you're saying.
The very
Yeah.
last sentence should plan the trend, no.
no, I think I was looking at the next paragraph, but I think that
Non-resident.
The one that Tyler just pointed out, we could take out in this one if you want to, because it just refers to those students that we had temporarily.
Oh, yeah.
So it doesn't
Apply anymore.
So if we want to take that chunk out, we can before we,
Which paragraph is it again? Third, fourth?
it's, on the purpose, it's the second.
yeah, that's the, I said the first paragraph first, but it was the second paragraph that I was looking at too.
Yeah, and that was that conditional, but it doesn't really apply anymore. So if you want to take that out so that it's not confusing for readers.
Yeah, we don't have any students in that category anymore. We did when we
Right.
first did the policy.
Do we even need that paragraph?
No, that's what she was
Yeah,
saying.
so we can take out the whole paragraph. Okay. All right, that was my question. Anybody else have any other questions regarding it? Guess what I didn't see was, well, maybe I missed it. So in our case, in this case, we had 2 new employees that have been hired. Because the application process says it has to be in by such and such a date, blah, blah, blah. Do we have any place in the policy? Did anybody see it where it says new employees can apply at time of employment?
Within 60 days of beginning employment.
Yeah,
Okay, within 60 days.
yeah,
Okay. I just want to make sure.
yeah, it's the little tiny paragraph on the purpose.
Just a second. Okay.
It was Chris and Ben, right? Are you both okay with still moving it with the removal of the second paragraph under purpose?
Right, yes, doesn't apply now.
Right. I agree. Okay. Any other changes that the board sees? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstained? I lost my place. Okay, that brings us to the first opportunity for comments from the public. I don't see any public here, so I'm not going to read the guidelines. But is there anybody who would like to speak at this time? Commendations.
So, you know, that really lovely video you made for the new superintendent search, it won a national award. And Regina actually went to Nashville a few weeks ago to present, so
Nice.
excited about that. And I was excited, it worked for me, so.
I think that
It really was a nice touch.
I think that was probably the best video I've seen about the school district ever. I mean, we've had some really good ones. But yeah,
Norwich just got a national award for their video on special education.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Very cool.
We have some teachers that are at Binghamton University learning this summer, Casey Bauman, Jean Jordan, and Morgan Hill. They've been working, researching, and they have 5 other teachers from other districts. They are participating in a program called Research Experiences for Teachers, and they're studying ready microelectronics, working in labs and going on industry partner tours. Their goal is to use their new knowledge of microelectronics careers to inspire students, as well as create curriculum for a website called Teach Engineering, and I'll share this around afterwards, a picture of all dressed up in there.
Yeah.
But I have my information for student on the best. So I'll share that, and I'll send it to you tomorrow in the update.
I think it was up on the Whitney Point.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
it was on
there's
the-
something-
it's page 2. We're grateful for our buildings and ground staff. They're really working extra hard, trying to get this place in tip-top shape for opening day. It's the summer school staff enrichment, Lauren and all of the teachers that had a successful summer enrichment program at the CEA. We have some moms over here. Are you happy with the program?
Oh, yeah. Loved it.
Teresa Monaco for earning the Clarkson Award for Inspiration of Educators. She was nominated by a former student, and the award honors educators who, through their professional experience and dedication, have had a significant influence on the lives and the futures of their students. And I would add to that our admin team. We've been spending a lot of time together this summer, and breaking out our plan for all the trainings that we need and day, just reviewing all of the things we need to get ready. So off to them.
Nice job. Jordan, do you have anything for today?
So since it is the summer, there isn't a lot. On August 21st, some of you weren't here, so I'll say it again, but originally some of the seniors advocated for painting the parking spots, just show a little senior pride, but that ended up getting rejected just in case people without cars would feel upset about it. So instead we opted to make a wall type thing that all the seniors get to paint and do stuff on. And I've heard that lots of people will go and do that, just so you guys know. So, eventually, if you see the wall out there, you can see it painted by the seniors. We got an email today about the schedules coming out sometime next week or around then. And I've already had lots of messages being like, oh my gosh, what if we don't have classes together? So, I'm sure the guidance office will be in for a lot of stuff when that happens. Yeah, all in all, since there is still about a month, a little less until school starts, there hasn't been a lot in that regards. But I know some people have been already buying stuff for their classes and getting special things. I'm mainly speaking for the seniors here because I don't see the younger grades during the summer. But that's what's going on.
Are the seniors excited to come back?
That's
Thank you for your honesty.
You don't have to worry.
They're coming back though. So.
They want to get out.
And is it a pre-approved wall or is it just any wall?
It was specifically built for the.
Okay, I just.
Yeah,
It's not any wall.
Okay, because if I saw part of the wall painted here, okay, I just want to make.
Senior bride.
Don't give them any idea.
Oh, I'm just trying to make sure it doesn't happen.
And I will have to say, I know you sounded disappointed about not being able to do the parking spaces, but I can also see why that decision was made. Not everybody has a car, and you're kind of leaving out anybody who doesn't. And so this is, you can put your handprint on a wall regardless,
Yeah, I like that you pivoted from that instead of just throwing the idea away.
It's it should make a heart. Yeah.
And it could be, my heart is in Whitney Point.
Okay. I think they all know that.
Well, I have a creative daughter who took footprints and did it.
Yeah.
And I have it on a plaque, so.
There is no old business. That brings us to our consent agenda. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Tom. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Michelle. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Okay, that brings us to appointments. Nicole Baxter, senior typist, effective July 20th, 2026. Have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Chris. In a second. Thank you, Ben. This is for the CSE.
Yes.
Office. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
Does the board have any questions?
I was trying to get the handwriting down on his calendar so that he could make it
Sorry.
show up.
Yep. Makes sense to me. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Elizabeth Ridignus, full-time teacher's aide, effective September 1st, 2026. We have a motion. Thank you, Tom. And a second,
Second.
Tyler. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Ashley Fisher, full-time teacher's aide, effective September 1st, 2026. May I have a motion?
So moved.
And I heard Michelle and
I'll read.
Oh, okay.
I did too, but
when it's three of you, it's hard to tell. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Amber Callahan, term substitute elementary teacher for the 26-27 school year, effective September 1st, 2026. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Chris. In a second. Thank you, Benny. Any questions or comments?
Is this just to have a full-time substitute in case we need them, or is it a
That's to
specific?
cover parental leave for a year.
Okay. Thanks.
Third grade, I believe.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Dana Calandra, four-year probationary appointment as assistant principal in the assistant principal tenure area, effective August 24th, 2026. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Tom. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Michelle. I believe she's here.
Hi, I came to say hi. And thank you.
Is there anything you think we should know about? Okay.
Everything. No, I'm excited to be here. So I appreciate the opportunity. I know it's kind of a whirlwind, but I'm excited to get started.
Okay. Not much longer.
We're excited to have you.
Yes, absolutely.
We'll see in a little bit.
We're excited to have you.
Yeah, we are. So
Very much.
any questions from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Welcome aboard. Okay, NISBA advocacy liaison. I have a question. Oh, no, we have to do a motion before I can ask my question. Would anybody like to nominate a delegate?
I'll nominate Chris.
I'll second it.
Assuming you want it. Yeah, it's okay.
I would.
How many emails?
So my impression from what I was reading is that this goes along with
Everything else.
what you're already doing.
I've actually been doing everything that they haven't, except I haven't gone to Albany because I never was free to do it. Yes.
Okay.
I'm already doing everything.
So this isn't something new, it's just they want
They want us
specifically, okay. Just making sure I got that.
I'd like to actually nominate an
Well,
alternate if
We
we
have to
can?
do that separate.
Okay.
It has to be done as two separate things. Okay,
Mhm.
all those in favor for Chris?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay, who would you like to
I know we often do the Board of Education as an alternate, but in this case, this person would actually take over for the voting for the night.
right,
So I kind of feel we need to have somebody maybe designated that would be interested in doing that. Would you like to nominate Aubrey here? She's interested?
you're interested? Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
You,
Lucky they're online nowadays, so you don't have to go to New York City and sit there for 10 hours.
I'm sorry, sitting there online for 10 hours.
One time we did.
I know. Sounds-
Just bring your snacks.
Good time was had. I have.
Put my buds in the audition.
Oh, yeah. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay, we are recommending that the school district, having conducted a public hearing on July 7th, 2026, and having the safety plan available for public comment, accepts as a whole for the 2026 to 2027 school year, the district-wide emergency response plan with the following non-substantive changes. I'm not going to make you listen to me read them because they're all right there. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Chris, and a second?
Second.
Thank you, Tyler. Any questions or comments?
So again, we had the hearing at the last board meeting. We posted, a link on the website for anyone from the public that wanted to comment, they could. We had no additional comments, so yeah, I think we're good to go.
Do comments sometimes just for fun. Just so Zach can say.
We get a little nervous,
Comment.
So I thought these might have been just the highest voted ones out of like 100.
Yeah, hope everyone's exciting.
You know, we're all, the next time we have one of these, we're all gonna go ahead and we're gonna say, hi, Zach.
Nervous, yeah.
We're all
I'm posting sex on this.
A little Friday night party.
Oh, boy.
And response.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay, we are looking to approve the following students to attend the Whitney Point Central School District for the 2026-2027 school year, and that tuition be waived. Sterling Klein, grade 3, Brody Sturtevant, grade 6. May I have a motion?
So
Thank you, Tom. Do a second.
Second.
Thank you, Benny. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay, the district authorizes the collection of taxes for the 2026-2027 fiscal year, and that the issuance of the tax warrant for the collection thereof by authority of Article 13 of the real property tax law. May I have a motion?
So moved. Michelle.
Michelle and you. Any questions or comments?
Again, this, it really is a formality. I know the question always kind of pops up, what if we vote no? We would have to bring it back to you guys again, probably under a special board meeting to get it approved. But it just authorizes, again, the warrant to be official, and the county actually requires your signatures proving or showing that this was approved. So they can begin their distribution of the tax bills.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain?
Would be against, could you say no and not get a tax bill?
Yeah.
Disclaimer out there.
I mean, if you know tax money coming in, either.
Then we might not.
I'm gonna have things around, I know we got to everyone next, but this is the warrant. You guys could just sign your name and your vote of yes or no. So that'd be great.
I don't know, so that's nice.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, by the same Article 13 of the real property tax law, we're authorizing the school district to issue the library tax warrants. May I have a motion? So, thank you, Chris. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Aubrey. I will be abstaining from the vote on this. Are there any questions or comments?
Is this just Whitney Point Library, or is this Whitney Point and Lyle?
Would you point on Lyle? Any other questions? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And I am abstaining. I'll find it later. Okay, we received a donation of school supplies for the district, 144 spiral notebooks, 144 composition notebooks, 10 boxes of colored pencils, 56 boxes of crayons, 138 pencils, 96 mechanical pencils, 60 pens, and 300 pocket folders. May I have a motion? Of Aubrey and Michelle. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, very generous. And I believe we got the same similar donation last year from the same.
Yep. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain?
So to piggyback on Murphy's presentation, our fall sport numbers are low in a few sports again this year. And we will need to continue to be creative in how we offer competitions for students in those sports, cross country, swimming, and those varsity soccer. Any questions about that?
I have a quick question since Murphy's here. I know the girls swimming has been very low, and we no longer have a guys team, men's team, excuse me. But have we thought of the districts? We have a beautiful pool. Could we try going to the combined team that some school districts do use? They do a girls guys team together. But I know it's during the winter sport time.
Right, so there's not to my knowledge in our league, there might be other schools in our section, but the girls' sport for swimming is in the fall and the boys is in the winter. So if you did mixed competition and the boys swam at the same time as the girls, that would be at the fall. So if you did mixed competition in the winter, the girls would be on the boys swim team.
That's how a lot of school districts.
Yes,
do it,
so I'm not, I'd have to do some research, Christy, because there's not currently like in our league for swimming, it's Dryden, Southern Huga, Watkins Glen. I just reached out to them today to ask if we could have tri-meets instead of dual meets so that the students that did choose swimming would be able to be competitive from the opposing school and our school, so we could fill all events. But they are not currently swimming mixed competition, boys and girls, so I'd have to research. Shenango Valley is the next neighboring school in a different league that has a strong swim program, and they too are not swimming boys and girls combined. So
it was the smaller districts like, Southern Cayuga and like, Sherburne, Airville, places like that, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah, so I'd have to see if anybody's doing that currently. There has been occasionally a few boys that expressed swimming, but I would have to, I've done surveys in recent time to get student interest in what sports they would like to participate or continuing to participate, but there hasn't been like a big outcry of boys asking about swimming, but I believe there would be, just like the girls, a small number. The part that I have always tried to be reflective and try to get more insight on is that we do have one of the strongest physical education K-12 curriculum in swimming. So I think it's just that we have so many sports offered that kids like swimming, but they choose to sign up for volleyball or field hockey versus, or cheerleading's numbers are pretty large right now versus, you know, some of the individual sports like cross country and swimming.
Okay, thanks, just one, thank you, appreciate it.
There aren't any districts in the league that are combining districts to compete, are they?
There are some school districts that are merged, like Union Springs and Fort Byron. But you know, mergers have to be approved by Board of Educations and they have to be in agreement with both school districts. And then you would have to decide which sports you wanted to merge for. You know, traditionally, like Candor and Spencer Van Etten, they always stick together. You have seen some people, they'll be merged with this school district for this sport and this school district for that sport, and it gets a little convoluted. And you know, you have to decide budgetarily who's gonna be the host school and what uniforms you're gonna wear, and if you're gonna re-logo or brand, and then you have to gotta think about transportation and so forth. So you know, if we were to do a merger study in the future, those are things that we would have to go through the Athletic Action Plan Committee to review. It certainly can be entertained. Obviously, some sports would benefit from merging, and other sports, if we were to merge, like if someone wanted to merge for field hockey, because their school didn't have it, then their students would be taking spots from our students, which we have enough obviously to field that team. So when you enter mergers, you have to think about all sports and all levels, and not only that it's a benefit when you point, but what does it do for the other districts? You know, is it helpful to them or harmful to them? And is it committed to one school district, or are you gonna shop around and swim with one school and play field hockey with another school and so on and so forth?
So with that theme though, I mean, we sit Winnie Point, we got a pool, Green's got a pool, Marathon doesn't. You know, I don't know, maybe sometime the board would like to look at what it would be like if we looked at Marathon. We do some other things with Marathon with academics, so.
Some school districts, you know, don't want mergers because they're protecting their own sports at their own school. So say for instance, you know, because, you know, I can just use Marathon as a community member, you know, if they were allowed their students to merge with us for football, then it could impact their soccer program, team, and they have a much pride in that school district for a very successful soccer program. So sometimes mergers are not because they don't have kids that are interested in something new or different, like swimming or football, because they don't have it, but it's they're trying to also preserve the teams that they have in their own school.
I was just talking swimming.
Yeah.
I was just saying specifically swimming.
Other examples.
Yeah.
A lot of good information. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Good night, Murphy.
Thanks for coming.
I asked, what does your numbers look like on swimming? Because last year you only had 3.
There's like a few modified and a few varsity. So I'm gonna put some messaging out, and we're gonna reach out, and then, you know, also sometimes it's the hard part because it starts before school and parents are working and kids don't have rides. But that doesn't mean, you know, a student when school starts, you know, if they wanted to swim, they could join, you know, later. They would just have to catch up with the number of practices. So sometimes I think there are students that are interested in things. It's just that in August, they can't sign up because they don't have the means to get.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just being realistic. I mean, we as a board all are looking at our budget. We know our budget is crazy, and when we do have to support a team that's only has 3 athletes and a lot of things are happening, it's a spot where we have to think about things. So that's why I was asking, of course.
I don't wanna just keep running on and take away from here. Girls soccer, you said too? I mean,
So last year, the girls soccer numbers are healthy for modified, and they have been the last 2 years. It's the varsity level that is struggling. So last year, the student athletes were on mixed competition with the boys team, and you know, there are some strengths and you know, weaknesses of doing mixed competition, but for the most part, the students were very welcoming to each other, and as much time for both boys and girls, they got to see the field, and even some female athletes got to start on the boys team. So that is, I've reached out to the coaches to tell them that that's something we're considering again, and I'm waiting for their feedback, but that would probably be the direction if we can't field a varsity team again. But I do think with the numbers growing from the modified, that we could transition hopefully next year to JV and then at least have a high school team, and then hopefully after that gap, again, reinstate a full varsity girls team.
Thank you.
On September 1st, we'll have the August graduates ceremony here in the high school library at 6 o'clock. With the time, 6 o'clock.
Oh, so we're gonna have to have one?
But they're all for, it's for early graduates.
Oh,
So
for early.
they're graduating early,
So,
potentially pre-students.
Oh, so it's not students that were remediate or taking.
No,
early. I don't think we've ever done that before.
yeah.
I mean, we've had students graduate early, but just not maybe as not a ceremony.
They're not allowed to come to the ceremony in the spring?
I mean, they can, but they are.
But they're not-
Yeah.
Not to-
No, but they weren't ready
No, I meant
at this last graduation.
No, she's saying for next June.
next
Yeah,
year's.
oh,
spring.
okay, I
Let's
see what
talk
you're
about
saying.
Next year's thing.
Our welcome back night is September 8th. I met with the DA yesterday, and they're actually going to come as well, and they're promoting a safety online social media campaign this year, so they'll have some information to share with us there.
Sorry, Shannon, what day is the graduation?
September 1st
Oh, it's September 1st.
at 6,
And
and the welcome back night is the 8th.
at what times?
There's a range of times, right? It does that for 4:30 to 7:30. Staggered between each building.
So starts 4:30 at the CEA.
Next, us as the board usually are part of that process.
Yes. 4:30 at the CEA, and then. Do you know the TLA?
5:30.
Oh, it's just an hour each.
5:30.
Okay.
I think we're 6 to 7:30.
Because then you have like a senior,
We have at 6 o'clock, people can arrive, and at 6:30 we'll have our freshman orientation. At 7, senior. Same thing we do every year.
since you're here, is there anything, like we usually try to have a table with.
Yeah, we can have a tabling event, and I know that typically you guys have been.
Right, but is there anything in particular that you would like the board to be emphasizing that night? You don't have to tell us right this minute, but.
Thanks for the question. I don't know. I will absolutely reach out to Shannon and for you guys to let you know.
I think overall attendance would be helpful, right?
We did that last year
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Well, and you guys have done like raffle tickets and stuff.
Yeah, we've done that too with baskets and stuff.
But maybe either you or Shannon could reach out to the other two schools. And see if there's anything in particular that they would like us to be.
Well, and at our district strategic planning meeting on the 19th.
Yeah.
For that night.
And then we have a meeting right after that, so.
Yeah. So just,
Yeah, great.
I figure instead of us picking something, we would get some input from you guys and see
Great.
if there's something that would be helpful for us to
That'd be good. Thank you.
speak about.
So the CEA is 4:30 to 6. Each building has an hour and a half. 5:30 to 7 at the TRA, and then 6 to 7. We're meeting on the 25th as a board, so the goal setting at 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. on the 25th.
This one.
I'll be sharing the results from the August 19th strategic plan meeting too. So you'll have that information. So
What time did you say on the?
6 o'clock, 6 to 7.
Here.
Yes, and I will share all this in an update tomorrow too. So
Okay, sure.
you don't have to write everything. I wanted to share a few things with you. There's a state that was released a new roadmap for New York Inspired, so I just wanted to give you that so that you had a heads up. And so we have officially, last year was year 1. We're in phase 2 or phase 1, which is number 2, the installation. So we have adopted the portrait, and we are going to, on day one, start an introduction to the portrait so that it's more formal. And we have some activities planned around that. And then we'll continue to go. But I just wanted you to see, because it's a lot easier to read this roadmap than what we've seen in the past, all the hundreds of pages of documents. Another, I wanted to share, I know that you have the School Boards Association evaluation, but I also wanted to share the council's evaluation, and we don't have to talk about this now, but we'll talk about it probably, well, we can talk about it actually if you want in an executive session a little bit. I'd like you to review both so that we can talk about that next step of which one we'll use for my evaluation. And
do we have to use one or the other, or can we?
no, we just actually agree, right? It's mutually agreed upon. You could do.
Yeah, because I was looking at it over this morning, and there were things that I liked about both.
Yeah. And I have a cheat sheet here that does a crosswalk between the two, and also it has the differences, the main differences. So that might be. What I liked about one versus the other, the main differences are the rubric is filled in with criteria that lets you know exactly what
In which one?
in the council one, it has the criteria, whereas in the municipal one, it's blank and you just check 1, 2, 3, or 4. But what exactly does that mean to you, and what does it mean to you, and what does it mean to you? So it's not crystal clear. And then the last part of my report is the 26-27 board presentation. Do you want to follow a similar schedule as like last year, or what is it that you want to see this year from students, from staff, from what kinds of presentations would you like to see?
It can be different, something we talked about at our meeting, but the schedule seemed to be pretty good.
Did you
I mean, schedule, I think, has more to do with the principals and what they have available and stuff like that. So I think that's how the schedule's been usually built. But
Yeah.
Well, I think I've looked at it from years past, and it seemed like there used to be tons, and then it shifted a little, right? Like it was too much, and then you kind of got to a happy medium. So we can continue to talk about that.
We do enjoy having the presentations because it gives us an opportunity to see a little more deeply what's going on at each of the schools.
As you said, I really enjoyed it. It's good to kind of give us an insight of like really what's happening in the building.
Yeah.
Like with the students here too. It's really.
I really liked presentations for students.
Same.
Too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They have to work. And they were so proud of themselves too.
Yes.
Student members, we can.
And one thing I appreciate is that we do have more positive presentations. For a long time, all we ever heard about were the bad things. And so I do appreciate that the tone has been, yes, we still need to talk about the things that we're struggling with, but we also need to do a lot more celebrating of the things that are going right, because well, no, I mean, it's like,
Success and working on, there should
Yeah.
be some working ons too.
Yeah,
We should be
exactly.
aware of some of the stuff that we still need to work on.
Hello and Greta.
absolutely.
What the pre-K report cards look like.
I think that's awesome.
Right.
I just wanted to say, we seem to have reached a good balance of having both, because
And I think the other thing that we really sort of like asked last time is that the presentations aren't just the principal or the assistant principal, but instead maybe they're highlighting this. I think this last year was highlighting the 3rd grade team and all the math they were doing. So the teachers actually came in and did it so that we could see that. So, just that feeling that the chairs of each grade level are getting to showcase what the work that they've been doing. I think that's important to them and to us.
Great. Let's celebrate, right? That's all I have.
Thank you.
Comments from the public? That brings us to the Board of Education comments. One thing I see on here is that the NISBA annual convention is open for registration. I think,
Tomorrow, right? Or the-
Today.
I think Michelle, Aubrey and Chris were discussions about.
Trying to figure out.
That's in September.
October.
October, yeah.
Yeah.
22nd to the 20th. I would like to go. I have it on my calendar right now.
I put it on the calendar, but.
But.
That doesn't mean anything.
It's the 22nd to the 20th.
And it's in Buffalo, that's what I thought.
I would have to arrange childcare because I can't guarantee that Josh will be off those days. So I don't know until the end of September.
Benny, your wife's with us too.
Yeah.
And yoga.
She also said that
It's not happening. If you can choose between the two options.
Watcher?
Yeah, I know.
I'll watch the kid. No problem. Handle all of that.
Yeah, if there's a good bit attending as well. You can let us know if you're interested.
Well, that's Thursday, Friday.
Yeah. Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Help our students.
So Aubrey, let us know. So just say no. We can't do
And
that.
I think
I really want to. I gotta talk to my.
think if you the early registration is within the first 30 days, I think, isn't it, Stacy, or something like
Yeah,
that?
I think it's through September 9th,
Yeah,
it's somewhere early September.
and you can fully cancel with a full refund till a certain date too. But
Oh, I got ages.
we can double.
Just hold of that. I mean, work on this.
I know.
In other words, Aubrey, she wants to know tomorrow because she wants to be registered right away.
No, I was just
I know.
telling everybody, but I may have you go ahead and register me because you can't get a hotel that's cheaper, or if I do Airbnb, if you're not registered. So that's the big problem, and you get kicked out of the main hotel, you're riding a bus for 20 minutes to get to the conference. But last time I just stayed at Airbnb, but anyhow. That's sort of the main reason.
Anything else from the board?
Just get my brain. Oh, just a reminder that we did get, I think we got, I know Stephanie and I got it, and I think Shannon got it. The BOCES, board information and all of the meetings that are coming up and the legislative and the morning breakfasts and everything. So, we'll just make sure we can send it out with your minutes or notes on Thursday if you didn't get it. Because they did say they sent it to me and Steph, and I said they had sent it to the superintendent also. So it's got the dinner on it that we usually go to. It's got all the dates way ahead of time.
Oh,
So,
perfect.
and then the meetings that everybody's invited to down at BOCES to meet the legislators and all those wonderful things. Okay.
Thank you.
No.
We do have a need for an executive session to hear discussion on.
No, file.
Night.
Thanks for being here, Murphy, to make it just like.
I'm back soon.
Yeah.
So, and we of course will be, ending the public meeting after our executive session, so nobody who's gets to hang out.
Ladies, thank you.
Thank you
Thank you very much.
Good to see you.
Bye.
Enjoy the rest of your summer.
Do we close
I mean, and
original
that's
session?
on as well.
So moved, to close the session.
Okay.
If you want to.
Have it now, I'm out.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm good. Yeah, this point I wasn't.
Why don't you want, I don't want to.
Just lots of little kids.